My ex-wife's betrayal wasn't the only thing that shattered my world. My sister's shocking choice delivered a blow I never recovered from. But what happened next, when my parents tried to force me to clean up my sister's mess, pushed our family to a breaking point that left me no choice but to cut ties with everyone. 5 years ago my life imploded. I, a 36-year-old man, divorced Martha, who was 34 at the time. We had been together for nearly 6 years, married for 2, and then just like that it was over. The reason? Infidelity. She confessed, right after our second anniversary, that she'd been having an affair with a co-worker for months. My heart just stopped. There was no going back for me. She talked about giving our marriage another chance, about coming clean so we could fix things, but the damage was done. The trust was utterly, completely gone. I told her to move out. The divorce was quick. I got the house and she got her second husband. Weeks after the ink was dry on our divorce papers, she married the coworker and they vanished to Philadelphia. We haven't spoken since, and honestly, I'm grateful I never gave her that second chance. But her affair didn't just ruin my marriage. It blew up my relationship with my own sister, Nah. She's 34, my younger sister, and she and Martha had been tight, part of the same college friend group. That's actually how I met Martha in the first place. Despite their history, I genuinely expected Nah to be on my side. Martha cheated on me, her own brother. This was supposed to be a no-brainer. I needed her to understand, to be there for me. So imagine my absolute shock when I told my family about the divorce, only to find out Nah already knew about the affair. Martha had told her. Even worse, Nah's advice to me was to stay with Martha, to work things out, because Martha really wanted to make our marriage work. I was floored, stunned. How could she even suggest such a thing? I told her there was no way, no chance, not ever. And I expressed my utter disappointment that she was still in contact with Martha after what she'd put me through. I was torn up, bleeding from this betrayal, and I desperately needed my sister to stand with me to cut Martha off. But Nah fought me on it. She said it was unreasonable to expect that. Their friendship was long-standing, and it wasn't her fault Martha and I got together, got married, and then divorced. She wanted to be diplomatic, to keep both friendships. Diplomatic? To me it felt like a betrayal all its own. I made it crystal clear it was her or me, Martha or your brother. I expected her to choose me. We had been so close growing up. I couldn't fathom my sister having any contact with my ex-wife, let alone someone who had so callously destroyed my life. To my absolute disbelief, she chose Martha. She called me petty and immature, claiming it was better to be around people who valued her and wouldn't force her to pick sides just to flatter their ego. That was the moment, the final heartbreaking blow. I was crushed. From that day on, I cut Nah out of my life. The nail in the coffin? She attended Martha's second wedding. To the affair partner. 5 years passed in total silence between us. Our parents tried desperately to mend things, but we both stood firm. I'd see her at holidays, at family weddings, always across the room, never speaking. There was nothing to say. I'd hear updates about her life through our parents, her graphic design business, her success as a freelancer. Good for her, I thought. But then a few days ago the phone rang. It was my parents. Nah was in a lot of trouble, they said, and they needed me to help her out. Apparently, her business wasn't doing as well as she'd let on. She was drowning in debt, had been evicted, and hadn't paid rent in 6 months. Nowhere to go. She was too proud to move back in with our parents, or even ask them for money. My initial reaction was a cold, distant, "That's sad for her, I wish I could help." Just a formality really, because what else was there to say? But then they laid it on me. Maybe you could help her out by letting her live with you. She was staying with her boyfriend, but he had a roommate, so it was temporary. She needed a place for a few months to get back on her feet. My parents had offered their home, their money, but she refused it all. So now they said it was up to me. I shut it down instantly. 5 years of silence. It would be awkward. More than that, I just wasn't interested. I had my own life, my own problems. I wasn't about to take on hers. But they insisted. "You're the only one who can talk to her," they pleaded. "She used to idolize you." I reminded them. Used to be close. Not anymore. If she wouldn't take their help, why would she take mine? They weren't listening. They just kept pushing. By the way, if you're still with me and wondering how much more ridiculous this got, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories are definitely coming your way. I had to be firm. "No," I told them. "Final decision." And that's when they started to get whiny, manipulative. They called me selfish, said I needed to think about my sister instead of my ego. They claimed my ego had already ruined our relationship once, and I was about to let it happen again. They thought if I just talked to her it would make a difference. I could feel their emotional manipulation working, digging under my skin. But after thinking it over, talking to some friends, and even reading some advice from places like where this story started, I stood my ground. What Nah did in the past was incredibly disrespectful. I owed her nothing. If she were to contact me and ask for help, that might be a different conversation. But I wasn't going to initiate it just because my parents demanded it. Days turned into a week filled with calls and texts from them, asking if I'd spoken to Na. Finally, I called them and laid down the law, back off. I wasn't doing it. They immediately went back to the manipulation, claiming I was the only one who could solve this. I didn't care if I was. It wasn't my problem. They countered, saying since she was my sister, her problem was my problem. Family, they preached, should treat each other's problems as their own. That was it. The hypocrisy was astounding. I shot back. Funny how you didn't have that opinion when Na and I were fighting over the Martha situation. By your logic, if Martha cheating on me was causing havoc in my life, Na should have immediately cut her off. Why do these new morals apply to me, but not to her back then? They had no answer. Instead, they accused me of twisting their words, of looking for an excuse, of being selfish and disgraceful. I was done arguing. Fine, I told them. I'm fine with being selfish and disgraceful. My mind is made up. Stop bothering me. I was about to hang up, but then my mother said something that ignited a fire in me. I always knew you had a massive ego, she spat. And maybe that's a failing in our parenting. But I never expected you to be so heartless. Maybe Na was right to choose Martha over you. Everyone knows that's my sore spot, my deepest wound, and she went for it on purpose to hurt me. And it worked. I snapped. I screamed at her, yelled that she had no right to bring that up, that there was no justification for what Martha and Na had done. She tried to defend herself, saying that now she was starting to think Na made the right choice, seeing how selfish I was. The conversation was infuriating, pointless, but I was too angry to stop. I just wanted to yell until they admitted they were wrong. For 15 minutes we argued. They called me selfish. I called them disrespectful, told them they only cared about my sister, not my feelings. Finally, I told them I never wanted to speak to them, or hear from them ever again. I was done. I hung up, blocked their numbers. My friends later confirmed I was right. My focus, they said, needed to be on my life, my problems. And that's what I decided to do. But they weren't done. A week later, after I thought I'd finally found some peace, I drove home from work exhausted. And there they were, parked outside my house. I honked twice, motioned for them to leave, threatening to call the cops for trespassing. Instead, they came to my car, insisting they needed to talk, not fight. I was so tired. I just wanted them gone. I promised to unblock them later, just needed my space now. Then they told me Na had moved in with them. Her boyfriend's roommates had finally put their foot down. 2 weeks were up. She had argued with him, demanding he be more considerate of her situation, her failing business, her lack of income. She stormed out. So now she was with them. And still, I wasn't going to let her live with me. I reiterated my stance. That's not why we're here, they said. Oh. Then came the real ask: financial help. They were retired, couldn't afford to support Na without jeopardizing their own future. They wanted me to give them money for a few months until Na was back on her feet. I wouldn't even have to speak to her. They expected me to agree, reminding me of all they had done for me, how I owed them. I needed time. This was a huge commitment. What kind of money? For how long? Would Na even get back on her feet? But they wouldn't let up. Sitting in my car, they pressured me, saying I had to do it. I owed them. That was it. I got out of the car. Enough of your BS. Clear out or I'm calling the cops. They laughed, thinking I was bluffing. Don't test me, I warned, but they stood there arguing. So I pulled out my phone. And I called the police right there in front of them. The look on their faces. Priceless. But they were so stubborn, so convinced I wouldn't follow through. They stood there arguing until the cops arrived and dragged them off. It was over. I kept them blocked. And I contacted my lawyer. We were filing for a restraining order. The harassment didn't stop there. After the petition was filed, the anonymous calls started. Numbers I didn't recognize. I'd answer, they'd hang up. Block. Another number, same thing. Then the text started coming through from these strange numbers. Threats. Calling me a selfish brat. Using foul language I won't repeat. I knew it was them. Confirmed everything. I had to protect my mental health. They knew I'd been through hell with my divorce, with my career. When I was finally doing well, they couldn't stand it. It was crystal clear. They didn't love me, not in the way a parent should. And I finally accepted that. The restraining order was granted. There was a fight, but I got it. And that surprisingly led to a shift. My parents couldn't contact me anymore, so they went to Na. And for the first time in 5 years, Na messaged me. I hadn't blocked her, never saw the point. She was disappointed I'd taken such extreme steps against our parents, who had done everything for us. The same old routine. She called me insolent, disrespectful. I was furious. It was so pretentious. It's easy for you to say, I texted back. Since they're going above and beyond to help you out. She tried to turn it around, saying she'd never asked me for help, Nor would she expect it from someone as selfish as me. You didn't need to ask me, I replied, because our parents were doing all the talking on your behalf. If you want someone to blame for this situation, look in the mirror. That hit home. She called me immediately. I answered, ready to just get it all out. She asked what I was talking about, claimed she never told our parents she wanted help from me. I laid out the entire story. Their hounding, their demands, their manipulation, their attempts to force me to give them money for her. She hung up abruptly. Turns out she had no idea the lengths our parents had gone to. Word got around the family, probably from my parents, crying about how I brainwashed Na against them. Some relatives initially came to me, accusing me of being in the wrong. But when I told them the whole truth, everything my parents had done, it changed things. They apologized. And now, nobody in the family speaks to my parents. They've been completely ostracized. It's a bitter kind of justice, and frankly, after everything, they deserve it. They can blame me all they want, but the restraining order means they can't do a thing about it. Na and I? We're still no contact. I don't expect that to change until she can truly acknowledge her own past mistakes. But her pride, just like our parents, is immense. I doubt it will happen anytime soon. But it doesn't matter anymore. My life is good. I'm focusing on my projects, on my peace. And that's all I need. What would you have done if your family pushed you to this extreme? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments below.